Let's say that I'm an associate of Epstein. Let's say that me and him fell down this island. Let's say that I'm worth, $1 billion. And I find out that Epstein went to jail, and I know this motherfucker rat me out, right? Does Epstein have, let's say that I know of Epstein's friends and family. Could I not just say hey, pass a note on or pass a message on somehow and basically let him know hey, by the way, if you don't kill yourself in 3 days, I'm gonna blow your house up and kill your family, and these 5 friends that you have are also gonna die. You could theoretically do that. That would require, hold on. Okay, let's just, hold on. How would we do it if we were gonna do it? Let's think of it that way, okay? How would we do this? Let's just start from the very beginning, okay? Let's pretend we're intelligent, okay? Because we got a lot of money. How would we do this if we were gonna do it? Okay. My understanding is that if somebody committed a homicide, it's gonna be very, very, very obvious on the autopsy. Especially because they got this body hours after death. With a homicide, you've got struggle. There's gonna be marks on the fingernails, there's gonna be bruising around the body, there's gonna be so many signs of struggle. If it was the guards that killed him, they're gonna be marked somehow he might have been old, but this is a 6 foot, 185 pound, full-size man who is in decent health. There's gonna be some sort of struggle I'm sorry. Yeah, wait, did I say 80? He's 66 years old. Yeah. Not if he's held down or the dude killing him is jacked. If you're held down, my dude, there's bruises where you are held. Yes. What do you mean? How do you think you hold somebody down? With psychic powers? If someone paid to have him killed, I'm sure they would make sure to pay off the autopsy person too. But that excuse doesn't work because Bawden was there for the autopsy. You can't use that one. Epstein's own lawyers sent pathologist Michael Bawden to observe the autopsy. So even if that Sampson, what was her name? Sampson? Oh, Barbara Sampson. Even if she was paid off, was Bawden paid off too? And his lawyers? And Epstein's lawyers? Or... Also, I don't even think Bawden agrees. What is this stupid... Why? B. Epstein, chilling in cell. Clintons come in, forcibly cover you in oil. They leave. That was weird, but okay. At least it didn't kill me. The sprinkler turns on, shoot upwards and breakneck on sailing. Do you think that any of the alternatives are impossible, or are they just more improbable than that he committed suicide? I don't think there's... Hold on. Pisco uses this word all the time. I'm trying to understand. Do I understand this word? When something is dispositive, that means that it is disproving other things, right? So for instance... That's the opposite of exculpatory, right? So for instance, if I say that I have 17 witnesses that put me in my bedroom at 9 p.m., that's dispositive of the claim that at 9 p.m. I was at the club. Is that correct? Exculpatory. Inculpate? Inculpate? Dispositive means it is decisive on the question at hand. Oh, so if 10 witnesses put me in a particular place, we could argue that 10 witness direct testimony is dispositive of me being there. Dispositive? Doesn't dis mean not? Or, no, that's not true, because disposition doesn't mean not in a certain thing. It's exculpatory, but it's inculpatory.
It's interesting to learn who Jeffrey Epstein hung around with while he was alive. People who flew on his airplane, people who stayed on his private island in the Caribbean, those who had dinner at his home on Fifth Avenue in New York. And to some extent, those names are coming out, not all of them, but we know a lot of the people who were in Jeffrey Epstein's life, and we have for several years now. But
I'm sorry, somebody asked me that question earlier of do I think it's possible that somebody killed him? I don't really think it's possible somebody killed him. I think that's a hard one. That's a really hard theory to buy. But in terms of did somebody encourage him to kill himself? There's no direct evidence for it, but I feel like that's possible. If, at least based on the little bit that I know right now and the little bit I knew before, if it came out that there was strong evidence saying that oh, somebody did do this, we're oh, okay, yeah, it explains a lot. I wouldn't be shocked. I think I lean 70% in favor of he probably killed himself with no external motivation or not under duress. Is someone killing him just too fantastical at the moment? Fantastical? I mean, my understanding, without getting too deep into it, is killing people is pretty cheap when you're rich, right? I think for less than 6 figures, you can have a lot of people killed. In jail, pretty sure for less than 6 figures. Now, for somebody like Epstein, I don't know, but if you're worth over $100 million, and you've got a guy that could implicate you in some crazy felonious activity, right? And you could float $1 million payment to have somebody killed. The only issue is you'd have to hide that amount of money. Obviously, you're not withdrawing this from a bank account. But I imagine if you're trying to hide $1 million transaction, I imagine that would probably be like easily solved to hide a single transaction like that. Or you would do it tumbling or whatever the fuck else. But then you'd have to find somebody to do it. You'd have to approach people. Multiple people are going to be aware of this. You'd have to make sure that this scheme infiltrates like the prison system. No, hold on, no, because it couldn't have been somebody that killed him. It would have been him being encouraged to kill himself. Well, I mean, no, that could be a lot easier. Let's say that I'm an associate of Epstein. Let's say that me and him fell down this island. Let's say that I'm worth, $1 billion. And I find out that Epstein went to jail, and I know this motherfucker rat me out, right? Does Epstein have, let's say that I know of Epstein's friends and family. Could I not just say hey, pass a note on or pass a message on somehow and basically let her know hey, by the way, if you don't kill yourself in 3 days, I'm going to blow your house up and kill your family. And, these 5 friends that you have are also going to die. You could theoretically do that. That would require, hold on. Okay. Hold on. How would we do it if we were going to do it? Let's think of it that way. Okay. How would we do this? Let's just start from the very beginning. Okay. Let's pretend we're intelligent. Okay. Because we got a lot of money. How would we do this if we were going to do it? Okay. Associate Epstein gets arrested again. And our whole awesome child island is going to go up in smoke. Okay. Epstein got arrested. A lot of people know Epstein got arrested. A lot of other people that were with us on that island, assuming that's even true. I don't know if that's actually true or not. We all are looking around at each other like, fuck. So the first question would be, what kind of leverage do we have on Epstein? Are there things that we don't want the world to know? Are there things that we don't want the world to know? That Epstein doesn't want the world to know? Are there people that he loves or cares about? What do we have for leverage? Epstein, Wikipedia, family. Epstein, Wikipedia. What was this? Ghislaine Maxwell was her name? Did he have somebody said son, right? Isn't this? Oh, brother. Well, so he had some family. Control F, family. Born in Brooklyn, his parents. So both parents are dead. Married in 1952. Pauline worked as a school aide and was a housemaker. Seymour worked for a gardener. Jeffrey was the older of 2 siblings. He and his brother Mark grew up. And then Mark here as Bear by his parents. Mark was Puggy. Okay, so he's one brother. Does he have... And that's it? No children? Long-term girlfriends and publishing heiress? Epstein dated this for 11 years. Damn, okay. He was down bad for Eva. If he really loves Maxwell, then technically you can leverage everything on Maxwell too, right? Okay, well, you love her. Well, I'll also kill her family. Okay, so let's assume we have good leverage there. Okay, let's assume that he genuinely loves Ghislaine and wants her to be happy. Okay, so he's in jail. He's not getting away this time because he already got convicted once like a fucking retard. And now he's caught. Who knows what the evidence is against him? I don't know if the indictments are public or not. So we need... Okay, so the first question is, can we kill him in jail? Why wouldn't we just kill him in jail? If we pay somebody to do it, that's a lot of We would have to pay somebody. First of all, we're never doing these conversations on our own. We're not fucking retards like Donald Trump. So we're always using intermediaries. Okay, so we would have a guy that we would say, you need to get this done. He would be the one in charge, but then how many people are going to be roped into this? Oof. And if it looks like a murder, that looks really bad for anything that might come up later in the trial. It would look better if he killed himself, right? It would be way better if he killed himself versus having him murdered. That would look really bad, right? So let's say we want him to kill himself. So we need to get that message to him. The number of people involved, it's probably a lot easier to deliver a message to somebody in jail than to kill somebody in jail. We could literally pass that off to one guard outside the jail. Like, this could literally be a 3-person operation, right? And one of the guards walked by Epstein's cells 3 minutes after the last camera shot or whatever. So we have that of him going over there and coming back. So that could theoretically be, hey, listen, there's a guard. I happen to know where he works in the prison system near Epstein. I want you to deliver this message to him. Delivers a message to the guard. That's like 2 or 3 people tops roped into that conspiracy. Camera shit going down or whatever. The prison sucks. Shit happens all the time. No one cares. He kills himself. That would be the easiest way to do it. That'd probably be the easiest, best way to do it. You minimize liability, not many people involved. Amount of money involved probably would not be that much. What would we need to find to prove that? The guards themselves should have made some kind of money. They should have gotten paid somehow. So federal agents have arrested them. Well, I guess what happened with the guards then who got in trouble for this? Why does it matter if it looks like a suicide or a murder if it never gets back to the shot call anyway? Well, because if it looks like he was murdered, then it looks like people are really hiding some shit. It's just cleaner if it's a suicide. And suicide makes sense. Also, suicide means no additional investigation. Homicide means now you've got, especially in a federal prison, right? Homicide means you've got the FBI involved, like researching and investigating and subpoenaing. And like that's just there's a whole bunch of shit that if it's suicide, it ends right there. The suicide ends on the body. The homicide is, well, why'd you do it? What happened? And then all of that, right? That's like a, yeah. What? Okay, wait, hold on, fuck. It's all good. I want more people moving to my Kick chat, so we're about to do a mass expulsion of YouTube chatters. If you want to come in to Discord and fight afterwards, you can, but you don't even have the opportunity to now. I'm just banning you initially, and you can show up somewhere else. Hold on. It's just like the most brain-dead fucking comments. Limeo Wikipedia. Carla. James B. He can't phantom anything. I think you meant to say fathom, you fucking retard. That is not sourced in a study or Wikipedia, sadly. If you want to link me something else, feel free to tell me what else to look up. That doesn't start with www.freedomfromoppression.com or some equally retarded fucking website. Also, the physical evidence of the autopsy confirms it was all but impossible that it was suicide. That's not true. Limeo, it's so obvious he has no idea about any of this story. He's going through Wikipedia making a fool of himself. I mean, we've watched a couple videos on it. There's not much stuff. We've read a couple articles. I'm just getting the facts here. Tell me what I'm missing. I don't understand if you guys realize how weak and stupid you look. If I'm missing something, just say I'm missing something. If some guy came here and was saying something like, oh, well, 5/7s don't actually resolve to 1 chords, you fucking retard, or you can't have a major 4 chord in a minor chord progression, idiot, I wouldn't say like, wow, looks like you got your education off of Wikipedia. I would just tell you why you're wrong. I would say, no. Tritones always resolve in a certain way that will construct a 1 chord. Or no, there's plenty of things like modal mixture or borrowing from other keys that we can find in historic examples of even Baroque music. Like, why just say like, oh, Wikipedia, LOL? Why not just like list something that I'm incorrect about or say something that, like, give me another fact? Nuke Center, welcome to the 429 viewers. Absolutely, he's so clueless in trying to maintain his initial uninformed opinion regardless of evidence to the contrary. You're missing the interview with Epstein's brother on Tucker. Yeah, we're about to listen to it. I have it up.
Hundreds of millions of dollars that passed through his hands over many years. And where is it now? We don't know that either. And the third question may be the most pressing of all, which is what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? On August 10, 2019, he was found dead in the federal correction facility in Manhattan, one of the most secure places in the world. Did he kill himself, as the government has claimed ever since, or was he murdered? Well, the overwhelming evidence suggests that he was in fact murdered, and that the US government, including the Attorney General of the United States, covered up that murder. These are the questions that matter most, and they're exactly the ones not—
That's what a stupid conspiracy. This is the most boring type of conspiracy. That there were hundreds of people involved in federal agencies. Fuck off. You fucking retard. Why do I even why do I have to watch this Tucker Carlson video? He's not an intelligent person. He's stupid. And the theory is going to be stupid. Here's what I'll promise you, okay? At the end of this, I'll give you the best. Here's my commitment to you. I will give you the best, most steel-manned conspiracy idea of how Epstein was forced to kill himself you want. It's not going to be whatever shit this retarded dumb fuck, this orange piece of shit says. That, by the way, already fucking lied to you and admitted as much in text messages that was leaked after the Dominion lawsuit. You fucking retard still believe him because it's convenient for you. It says something when the only person you can trust is somebody that literally lies to your retarded fucking ass to make money. That's what this guy does. That's what he does to you, right? When you cite Tucker Carlson, you are the retard that he's making money off of because you believe him even though he is lying to you to make money. That's who you believe. And then you turn around and you say you don't trust other people in the media. You're actually retarded. More retarded than people listen to MSNBC, and that's saying something.
Covered up that murder. These are the questions that matter most, and they're exactly the ones not being addressed in the news media. Why is that? We decided to speak to someone who has insight into this question, and that is Jeffrey Epstein's only surviving relative. His name is Mark Epstein. He was Jeffrey Epstein's brother, separated by—
You know what I would do? If I was part of the other conspiracy that I said there was a way better plan than this stupid shit, you know what I would do? I would pay Epstein's brother to go on Tucker Carlson because I know how fucking retarded he is. That's what I would do. That would be the real conspiracy, okay?
Do you think your brother killed himself?
Not now. No. When I first heard he was dead from suicide, I had no reason to doubt it, so I accepted that. But then after the autopsy and after Bill Barr made that asinine statement, I said, this was not a suicide.
But when you first heard the news, you thought it was a possibility that he killed himself.
Yeah, I accepted it as a fact. I heard it on the news. The government didn't notify me, as they said. I heard it on CNN in the morning of the 10th.
And you're his only survivor. You're the only surviving relative.
Yes, yes.
What has he lied about? He didn't believe the Sidney Powell stupid claims about the Dominion voting machines. All of that shit was stupid. And he knew it was. And he was irritated by it. And he hated Trump because Trump was making a mockery of their network. And he was looking forward to moving on from all of it. But he's like the number one public dick suck for Trump because he knows how much you guys lap it all up.
And when they call it a suicide, they stop investigating. Because if there's a suicide, there's really nothing to investigate.
Right.
If it's a suicide. Because somebody killed themselves, case closed. So that's
this is why if we were going to pay somebody to do it, we would want it to be pressured suicide. We wouldn't want it to be... we wouldn't want it to be a murder. Oh yeah, what is the injection mark? Control F, injection.
Added injection mark.
I wonder if injection marks on a dead body probably look different than injection marks on a living body. I would imagine, right? Do I have any EMTs or medical people here? They said that he was in cardiac arrest when they found him, Destiny, so not pronounced dead. Well, I don't know what you need to make a dead pronouncement, but I'm pretty sure if you're found in cardiac arrest, you can be dead, right? Cardiac arrest, arrest just means it's stopped, right? And cardiac is your heart. Cardiac arrest just means your heart's not pumping. So you could find somebody in cardiac arrest, meaning they have no pulse, right? They could be dead. They might not be dead, but you'd bring him somewhere else. You'd try to revive him. If you fail, then you would pronounce him dead. But he could have been dead when they found him, right? He was most likely dead when they found him if he had hung himself 2 hours earlier, right? I don't know if EMTs ever declare death. I mean, they must sometimes. If somebody shows up, you're like decapitated, an EMT. Well, actually, wait, we can just look this up. Control F, toxicology on the report. I don't think that would tell us. Wait, can EMTs declare time of death? Declare time of death. Acquiring the legal pronouncement of death is an important step and generally one that can only be performed by a doctor or coroner, not, for instance, ambulance EMTs. However, some states allow for registered nurse or even paramedics to give pronouncement of death, depending on the person. Oh, interesting. Okay. Injecting insulin is a popular method of killing, supposedly. Yeah, but if somebody died because of hyperglycemia, low thing, like diabetic shock, I'm pretty sure there'd be tons of evidence and symptoms of that. Wait, go to page 80. It talks about the injection mark. The OIG also reviewed photographs that were taken at the NCC New York Health Service units of EMTs attempting to resuscitate Epstein. The photographs show, among other things, Epstein on his back with an intravenous line in his arm. Oh. His orange BOP issued shirt ripped open and laying around his arms, and him wearing orange BOP issued boxer shorts. None of the photographs taken at MCC show Epstein in a hospital gown, though the OIG did review. Okay, so they were trying to revive him, I'm guessing. What do you push or inject somebody with if you're trying to revive from? Inject vasopressin. Is that always what you do? I don't know. Sure. Adrenaline? Is it always adrenaline? You can also push pee. Huh. Push and pee. True.
Those stunning comments caught on tape by a Houston woman who says she secretly recorded a doctor and staff during her surgery. Now, in these recordings, you hear remarks about her looks and her personality, and ABC's Gio Benitez has the story.
Listen carefully, because few ever hear this.
She's a painter.
Secret recordings a patient says she made from the operating room. Ethel Easter says she hid a recorder in her hair extensions before going under the
I'm sorry. My bad.
knife for a hernia operation. Easter said
That was a very funny sentence.
as the hospital workers made disparaging comments about her body.
I was appalled, I was distraught, I was violated, thinking that I'm lying there naked after the surgery, and they have me still uncovered talking over my body like this.
And listen to this.
Precious, yes. This is Precious over here, and Hi Precious over there.
Easter considered that to be a reference to the main character in the movie Precious.
It was racially profiling me, yes, I was offended by it.
Easter says she decided to secretly record her surgery after a tense meeting with a doctor.
We had some choice words to us in clinic when we didn't book her case within 2 weeks.
Is this a big deal? Should we care about this? If some guy was calling me like a goblin gnome fuck or something, and I'm like under anesthesia, I'm in surgery, does it matter?
Including, I'm going to call a lawyer and file a complaint. It just doesn't seem like a thing to say to the person that's going to do your surgery.
In a letter to Easter, the hospital,
You'd always expect someone being resuscitated by paramedics/doctors to get IV access inserted, regardless of their shockable status. Okay.
Healthcare says it has alerted staff to be mindful of comments at all times, but they say no further action is being taken.
I'm ready to go. We have annoying patients to go.
In a separate incident, a Virginia anesthesiologist is paying the price after a man going in for a routine colonoscopy accidentally left his iPhone recording during the procedure, capturing...
Accidentally left. That guy was 1,000,000% gonna f***ing jerk off to that. 1,000,000,000%. That's the most obvious jerk off f***ing recording I've ever heard in my entire life.
After a man going in for a routine colonoscopy accidentally left his iPhone recording during the procedure, capturing this while knocked out.
And really, after 5 minutes of talking to you pre-op, I wanted to punch you in the face and man you up a little.
A judge ruling the doctor in that case needs to pay $500,000.
What? There had to have been more context to that. What? Hi.
Left his iPhone recording during the procedure, capturing this while knocked out.
And really, after 5 minutes of talking to you pre-op, I wanted to punch you in the face and man you up a little.
A judge ruling the doctor in that case.
It sounds like he was just scared of the colonoscopy. She was like messing with him maybe. I'm so curious what the rest of this convo sounded like.
Needs to pay $500,000.
And in this new case, the hospital
Damn.
tells us it won't comment because of patient privacy laws. Easter is considering a lawsuit, but she says she wants doctors to just stop speaking this way about patients in operating rooms.
Anyone who's gone under probably has wondered, but wow, that's...
Why even try to defend these shitty doctors? I'm not defending them. I think it's shitty to do it, but like, can you sue somebody for being shitty?
That's right.
Audio. Thank you so much, Gio.
Injection mark, very clearly, in his arm. We don't know what that's from. We don't know if that happened at the hospital or if it's something else. We just don't know.
Oh, so she doesn't have this OIG report. I think there's an OIG report at the time. And so she says it could be from the hospital. Oh, okay. Makes sense. All right. Okay, cool. No mystery here. Okay.
Yeah, but that's been shown to be false. You can listen to David Schoen, his attorney, on the podcast, the Crime Waves podcast. He explains that Jeff was attacked by his cellmate, but he didn't want to report it as such because he was afraid of retaliation.
Man, that cellmate is huge. Hold on. Crime Waves podcast, Epstein lawyer, Tartaglione, what was his name? Frank Sino Pig. Welcome to the 447 Alert. Does Tucker ever show this guy's face? Do we trust that Tucker is truthful about who he's interviewing? I don't think Tucker would lie about the person he's interviewing. That seems to be like, you would invite so much trouble there. Imagine if his actual brother came out and said, that wasn't me. That would be horrible. I don't think he would lie about that.
What he said happened was that this other inmate, this former police officer, had tied something around his neck as sort of some kind of experiment that Jeffrey didn't feel, he was in a position to say no to. And the guy pulled the thing, and it left a mark on his neck and perhaps elsewhere. And that was the end of it. He didn't pass out. He wasn't unconscious, but it was a scary episode for him. He wanted to report it at first, but he didn't report it. He just said he couldn't remember what had happened. But it was not an attempted suicide.
It's a mystery that obsesses our time. Jeffrey Epstein, one of the richest and most well-connected men in America, walked into a prison. He'd been friends and a business associate of some of the most powerful people in the world. Presidents, prime ministers, princes, politicians, business tycoons, the very top.
That's a wild.
Of that 1%er class.
I need more information about this. Are they
He
going
also ran a sexual trafficking network of young girls and women. Just over a month later, he was found dead in his cell. The official response was to immediately declare it suicide. However, many people, this episode is an...
Was that like a
good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, what actually happened in that... Now for our interview. David Schoen is an American legal legend. In these days of large corporate offices and multinational law firms, he's something of a lone wolf. A Matt's former campaign manager visit. What is it like as an institution?
Sure. Very interesting. I've been there many times over many years. Where I visited Mr. Epstein, for example, was in the attorney-client meeting area. That's not always the case for some of the inmates.
Where is the pause button down here on this thing also? Can I not pause?
Something like that.
Wait, does it like appear and disappear? What the fuck?
But here it's a very sort of ominous building.
Was it there the whole time and I was like having a stroke?
But you go up to the third floor visiting area, attorney-client visiting area, and when the guards let you in, you go into a waiting room. And then there are a series of rooms in which the inmate is sitting, or they bring him down, and the lawyer sits there until the inmate has been brought down. Other inmates are sitting in chairs, waiting for rooms or waiting to be taken back to their floor. When I came in, Mr. Epstein was in a room already, meeting with two lawyers.
And in terms of the conditions of the MCC, you read the Human Rights Watch report on the inhumanity of the place. Amnesty International backs that up. So did the UN.
Litigation of jails and prisons around the country. I've never actually taken a tour of the MCC because I've never brought a lawsuit. But the conditions at the MCC and the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, have both been the subject of a number of complaints over the years.
Rapes on prisoners, murders on prisoners, a bad place.
And it's also particularly difficult because it houses mostly pretrial detainees, and so there's not a lot known about their background, how they accommodate institutionally the ideal cellmate.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that we saw was they even got his crimes when just in the basic intake, they got his ethnicity wrong, and they got his crime that he was allegedly charged with wrong. So just the basic mundane details of the place seem to be questionable. When you met with Jeffrey Epstein, how did he seem?
So when I first went in, as I say, he had a couple of lawyers with him. He had a system there by which his lawyers at the time, before I agreed to take on the case, his lawyers would have sort of runners meeting with him to get instructions or talk about the case. And so two of them who were not formally on the case were meeting with him that day, very nice young women. And I came in and he asked them to leave. And so he was in pretty good spirits, quite frankly. We immediately started to talk about the case, and then another set of lawyers came in. These were lawyers from a sort of prominent white-collar firm in New York who were talking about some business matters. They stayed for a while. I sat in on that discussion, and then they left. We began our meeting again, and a prison or jail psychologist or psychiatrist came in, again, a woman. So she asked me to leave so that she could interview him. Remember, when I met with him on August 1st, about 2 weeks earlier, there had been an incident in which at first they called it an attempted suicide and later came to no conclusion about what had happened. And so he was now on a watch, in a sense, with regular visits from the psychologist or psychiatrist. I discussed it with him. It was not in any way an attempted suicide, but he told the staff when they interviewed him that he couldn't remember what happened because he was afraid to report exactly what happened. But in any event, the meeting, back to your question, the meeting he had with the staff psychologist or psychiatrist went very well. They were smiling and so on. I knocked on the door and interrupted at one point because I wasn't sure that his lawyer, who was lawyer of counsel of record at the time, had approved that meeting. I wanted to make sure, and he said that he had. And
is that all he says about this?
And they were all smiles, and she left after about 5 or 10 minutes. Then I resumed my meeting. We met for a total of about 5 hours on that day.
Let me rewind for 1 second, David. July 23rd, the night of July 23rd, in Jeffrey Epstein's cell, there was something that happened. There was his cellmate, who is eventually discovered to be a convicted of quadruple homicide, a corrupted police officer who murdered 4 of the people who were going to reveal his corruption in his drug network.
Is this Spencer Kuven? Is that who we're talking to right now? A lawyer who represented 3 of Epstein's alleged victims said in July 2019, after his first parent suicide attempt, that he believed it was an attack on his life and said there was a high probability he would be murdered in prison. Oh, no. It's a different claim. Okay. Fuck, here's what I don't understand, okay? Why, if that guy's cellmate, this guy, look at this monster. If he wanted to kill Epstein, he would have killed him. The guy would have been dead 100%. Right? But also, if Epstein is trying to kill himself in a cell, what is this guy doing? He's just watching him do it? Like, bro, are you okay? Why are you leaning forward there with that thing tied around your neck? I feel like both sides of this sound retarded. Did you sell your meta stock? No, I need to fuck with my Vanguard account. Oh my God, it's still up. I just dumped a whole bunch of money into my Vanguard account at the end of last year. Should I just like put it all in on meta? Keep going. Maybe the guards came by and like, bro, your cellmate's killing himself. I was like, bro, he said he was doing an extended goon sesh. You should take profits? What the f I take profits? I either believe in the investment or I don't. The Vanguard Total World Stock ETF has returned 7.08% annually since 2008. The S&P 500 has returned 13.87%. Why did I ever buy this VT shit? Because that one fucking guy on stream convinced me to. I got fucking scammed. I'm just buying all the VT shit. No, I mean, I'm buying all the voodoo buy, yes. Oh, hold on. Just buy domestic VOO? Yeah, that's what we do, baby. What do we do? Order type. Market. Yes. Professional. Trader. Continue. Buy. Everything. You should invest in foreign stuff just in case. No, fuck no. If America fails, bro, we're grabbing our shotgun and we're going out fighting, all right? Order submitted. Got it. You just investing in safe stocks? Kind of, except for my except for my Meta investment. I should just sell that. I should sell that. Fuck it. Let's take the... Hold on. Sorry, I'm almost done. I need to sell this Meta stock. I should. Do you have a dividend portfolio? The fuck does that mean? Like, are they reinvested automatically? My God, what a great buy. Okay, I'm selling. We're exiting our Meta position. Exiting? We're closing our position. How long have we held this for? Show details. We bought it on June 21st, 2022. That's about 2.5 years ago. And it has appreciated 125% in value. Just amazing, okay? Oh wait, no, not 2.5 years. I'm sorry, 2022, 24. Oh, 1.5 years. Wait, that's even more insane. Holy shit. How up are you? I had 430 shares. I bought at 166 and I sold for, we're about to sell for whatever the fuck it is now. I think I bought in at 71.5K and we're selling for 162K, 161K. That's an easy 90,000. That's half of Cake's salary for the year, right there. Wait for 488. No, shut up. Okay, hold on. Also, if you're listening to my shit and you ever take investment advice from me, I can give you good financial advice, but I am 100% gambling on every stock I buy. I look at it, I get a call from the astrology gods and they send me in the right direction, but... Why are you selling? You don't believe in Meta? The only reason I bought it initially was because I felt like the downturn, I felt like people were overhyping the metaverse failure. I don't know if any of that analysis was good or not. That was just my gut feeling at the time. And I was like, is Facebook really worth 50% less than it was last year? No shot. I thought I remember you saying something to Dan about shorting GameStop during the memes. Did you ever do it? No, the issue is that like, I felt like I knew, how do I explain this? If you think you know the direction something's heading because it's very obvious, all of your derivative markets are going to be pricing that in, right? Options are derivatives, correct? Shorting is not a derivative sell, but options are derivatives, I think, right? Puts and calls are derivatives. So the cost for contracts for puts and calls are going to price in the the volatility or whatever, your IV or whatever bullshit, that's all going to be priced in. So if you think like, this is probably not priced correctly, I'm going to make a killing buying or selling calls or puts, well, congratulations. Everybody else in the market is also thinking the same thing. So you're going to pay a premium for those contracts for the calls and puts based on the projections of where people think the markets are going to move, right? Obviously. That's why options are so expensive around earnings. Yeah, sure. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. What was I looking for? Oh, my Budweiser stock. Wait, did I sell it? Why don't I see it anywhere? Self-managed accounts. I only have the my VU thing, my VT ETF. Oh, I put that in my retirement account. Okay, hold on. Yeah, Budweiser. Okay. How up are we on this guy? I only bought this one to trigger the conservatives, but I don't know if it was good or not. Cost basis, summary, show, lot details. What do we got? Not this one, but this one. Okay, I bought this on June 7th. Wait, 06, 07. I don't know if that's June 7th or July 6th, 2023. So about a year and a half ago. And that's up 18.31%. S&P 500. I don't know if that's beating the market or not. Oh, the first one is the month. Weird. Okay, so June 6th. Okay. So if I look for June 6th. Wait, year to date. Oh, no. 1 year. June 6, 2023. The market is up 11.67%. So we crushed the market on that one too. We made 7 points more. Boom! There we are, boys. It's just 6 months, not 1.5 years? Yeah, 6 months from 2023. Oh, sorry. We just entered a new year. Fucks my head a little bit. Yeah, but 6 months. Okay.
A few weeks before Epstein hung himself in his jail cell, he was found nearly unconscious with marks on his neck, and there was a suggestion that his cellmate might have had something to do with it. Well, that cellmate was former cop Nick Tartaglione, who was charged.
Thank you. See, these are hard to pronounce names, okay?
With a quadruple murder. He was in court today, not on his case, but a request to move from Manhattan's Metropolitan Correctional Center because he has information that could be very damaging to staff there, according to his attorney, who says officers told his client to shut up and stop talking about what he witnessed when Epstein was in his cell, also complaining about deplorable conditions like a serious rodent and insect infestation problem and mold on the sink in his cell from which he is forced to drink. That hearing is still underway. And we're learning more about Epstein's sordid past in a lawsuit filed this week by 3 more women, one claiming she was flown to Florida to have sex with Epstein while he was serving his sentence as a convicted sex offender, meeting him in an office he set up when he was granted work release while he was supposed to have sex with Epstein's sordid past in his cell from which he is forced to drink. That hearing is still underway. And we're learning more about Epstein's sordid past in a lawsuit filed this week by 3 more women, one claiming she was flown to Florida to have sex with Epstein while he was serving his sentence as a convicted sex offender, meeting him in an office he set up when he was granted work release while he was supposed to be under close watch.
Wait, was she underage? Or is it illegal to have sex with people that come from out of state? Or what was I'm sorry, did I miss the first part of it? Was she underage?
That's by Palm Beach Sheriff's deputies. A sex offender meeting, one claiming she was flown to Florida to have sex with, still underway. And we're learning more about Epstein's sordid past.
Complaint. What? Dude, this is the most annoying tech I've ever seen in my life. Why would you do this?
In a lawsuit filed this week by
Caitlin Doe, plaintiff, complaint. Caitlin Doe, Epstein, flew, Florida. Jeffrey Epstein, through his brazen and powerful organization, was quite literally able to commit federal sex trafficking offenses at his work release office during his jail sentence. The allegations was included a trio of lawsuits by 3 women who were not lawsuits. The legal powerful lawsuits were filed against Epstein's estate and other entities is suspected of helping Epstein travel the world. Off with an entourage of young women. He was According to her lawsuit, Epstein in 2006 promised to help her cure an eating disorder, but instead lured her into... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just had so many dumb jokes pop into my head. Christ. But instead lured her into sex in a massage room at his Manhattan mansion. She was 17 at the time and a virgin. Caitlin lived in Epstein's luxury compound in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where he coerced her into sex, she said a month of sex acts, all while promising to pay for her expensive, necessary surgeries, according to lawsuits filed by attorneys. Gotcha. Okay. Jesus. All right.
3 more women, one claiming she was flown to Florida to have sex with Epstein while he was serving his sentence as a convicted sex offender, meeting him in an office he set up when he was granted work release while he was supposed to be under close watch by Palm Beach sheriff's deputies. Another alleged victim says Epstein forced her into a sham marriage with another woman in the Virgin Islands when she turned 18, so this other woman, a foreign national, could keep working for Epstein, procuring him more girls. And the New York Post is reporting because Epstein filed his will in the Virgin Islands 2 days before hanging himself, it will force most of the lawsuits against his estate to be refiled, since they don't name the executors of his will as required after his death. Next Tuesday, Epstein's attorneys, prosecutors, and alleged victims will be back in court for a status conference on his criminal case, given a chance to weigh in.
Okay. Inmate 1 is who's named here. Okay. Approximately 1:27 a.m., SHU staff hears noises coming from Epstein's cell. Epstein's cellmate says that Epstein had attempted to hang himself. SHU staff observes Epstein lying on the floor with a piece of orange cloth around his neck. Epstein initially tells MCC New York staff that his cellmate tried to kill him. Epstein's cellmate, inmate 1, tells MCC New York staff that while he was asleep, he felt something hit his legs. When he turned on the light, he saw Epstein with a string around his neck and called the guards. Epstein is transferred out of the SHU and placed on suicide watch in a cell near the psychology department and health services unit. Later that morning, health services unit personnel conduct a medical assessment and observe that Epstein has a red mark 2/3 of the way down the front and side of his neck. The BB assesses Epstein for a risk of suicide and determines that he should remain on suicide watch. In contrast to his prior statement that his cellmate tried to kill him, Epstein says he does not remember how he sustained the injuries to the neck. So Epstein did originally say that he felt like his cellmate tried to kill him. Wait, right? Yeah, okay. So he did say that initially, but then he changed his story later. Then he denies suicidality or having any memory of what occurred. Disk failures occur in DVR2 of MCC New York security camera system, which results in the system being unable to record. Although the cameras continue to work and broadcast a live video feed, MCC New York personnel do not learn of the DVR2 recording failure until August 8th, 2 days before Epstein's death. Roughly half of MCC New York security cameras, including those located in the SHU, are assigned to record to the DVR2 system. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So it wasn't just one recorder for this particular camera that was out. It was one of the DVRs that was recording about half of the cameras in the jail. That makes it a little bit less shady. Epstein is transferred back to the SHU. And they knew before he killed himself that recorder was fucked too. I don't know if that would be in favor of or against the conspiracy. It could be in favor of because they knew and they did nothing to fix it, or it could be against it because then it shows it wasn't destroyed just for his death and they had forewarning. They should have known about it. MCC New York staff psychologist from the psychology department sends an email to staff to saying that Epstein needs to be housed with an appropriate cellmate. Epstein and his new cellmate, inmate 3, are placed in a cell within the SHU that can accommodate the medical needs of Epstein's medical device. MCC New York conducts disciplinary proceedings against Epstein for alleged self-mutilation and ultimately concludes that there is insufficient evidence to find that Epstein engaged in a prohibited act. What was the self-mutilation? When Epstein is psychologically evaluated in connection with the disciplinary proceedings, he said he does not remember how he sustained the marks on his neck. Oh, just the attempted suicide from before. MCC New York personnel attempt to obtain an estimate from Company 1 to run the wiring and conduit for the new camera system, which would eliminate the need for BOP technicians to perform the work. What the fuck? Why did I click this? According to court records, Epstein appears in court for a status conference at which time the court sets deadlines for motions and responses upon his... Let's see. The psychological department conducts a clinical visit with Epstein, who denies any suicidal ideation. Epstein receiving a discharge. Staff notified the psychology department of the notation of suicidal tendencies and U.S. Martial law. Suicidal. Determined it's not warranted. Okay. I wonder when the last time, if you guys could look this up, that'd be interesting. When was the last time Epstein changed his last will and testament prior to August 8th? New York staff discovered the disk failures that occurred in the DVR2 system on July 29th, and that resulted in approximately half of the institutional network recording, although the cameras continue to broadcast a live video feed. MCC New York staff do not perform the work necessary to restore recording functionality of the DVR2 system or address long-standing performance failures with the institution's camera systems. At approximately 8:30 a.m., Epstein's cellmate inmate 3 is transferred out of MCC New York. 2 MCC staff members said they notified supervisory staff of Epstein's cellmate transfer and Epstein's need for a new cellmate. Other witnesses did not corroborate these statements. Epstein is not assigned a new cellmate as required by the psychology department. Sometime between 8 and 9 a.m., Epstein meets with his attorneys in the SHU attorney conference room. Epstein could be moved to a different housing unit or housed without a cellmate. Interesting. Go to page 81 for chapter 6. Okay, page 81 in the doc or 81 in the file? The replacement hardware to repair the institution. Do not complete the repairs. The U.S. Court of Appeals of the Second Circuit unsealed approximately 2,000 pages of documents, civil litigation involving Ghislaine Maxwell, who was later convicted in 2021 of conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors over the course of a decade. Some of these documents contain information that may relate to the criminal charges pending against Epstein. Oh. Wait, okay. That's a pretty big one, too. So... at approximately 6:45 p.m., Epstein leaves the attorney conference room. So Epstein, I'm guessing Epstein found out while talking with his attorneys at 6:45 that that Ghislaine had basically gotten fucked. Is that true? If I'm reading this, I'm assuming it's in the timeline here because that's when it happened around there. Approximately 7 p.m., contrary to BOP policy, but with the permission of a unit manager, Epstein is permitted to place an unmonitored telephone call to a number with a New York City area code, purportedly to speak with his mother. In actuality, Epstein speaks with someone with whom he allegedly has a personal relationship. After the call, Epstein is returned to his cell where he remains without a cellmate. That's weird and stupid. But the permission of a unit manager, okay, but I guess they got permission for it. They do not conduct the 4 p.m. or 10 p.m. inmate counts after approximately 10:40. SHU staff members do not conduct the required 30-minute rounds. Approximately 6:30 a.m., SHU staff begins to deliver breakfast to inmates of the SHU through the food slots in the locked cell doors. When SHU staff turns to deliver to Epstein, SHU staff unlock the door to the tier in which Epstein's cell was located, then knocks on the door to Epstein's cell. Epstein, who is housed alone in his cell, does not respond to SHU staff. They unlock the door and find Epstein hanged with one end of a piece of orange cloth around his neck and the other end tied to the top portion of a bunk bed in Epstein's cell. Epstein is suspended from the top bunk in a near-seated position with his buttocks approximately 1 inch to 1 inch and a half off the floor and his legs extended straight out in front of him. SHU staff immediately activate A body alarm, which notified all MCC New York staff medical emergency. Blah, 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 blah. They ripped the orange. SHU staff then ripped the orange cloth away from the bunk bed, which causes Epstein's buttocks to drop to the ground. SHU staff lay Epstein on the ground and immediately initiate CPR. They get there. Minutes after arriving, they continue CPR, intubate, administer fluids. Then he's pronounced dead. MCC New York staff unsuccessfully attempt to recover video from the DVR2 system of the SHU, and the BB begins preparing the DVR2 system. The FBI seizes all hard drives contained in the DVR2 system as evidence. Uh-oh. They're like, fuck. They seize additional components of the DVR2 system and the entire DVR1 system. The Digital Forensics Analysis Unit in Quantico, Virginia begins to conduct a forensic analysis of the MCC New York DVR system and determines that they were catastrophic disk failures in the DVR2 system disk array, and no recordings were available on the DVR2 system after July 29th, 2019. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, City of New York, releases its findings publicly. Okay, jeez. Inmate 1, Inmate 3. Oh no, wait, you said go to page 82? Discovery security camera system recording issue in August of 2019. Oh, we're just skipping over the catastrophically damaged hard drives. Yeah, but it says they were damaged months ago. That's why it was fucked. Discovery of... Oh, wait, you're saying start at page 81. Background on security camera system at MCC New York. All video surveillance from MCC New York's cameras was connected to a digital video recorder system. The DVR system had 2 data storage systems that were labeled DVR1 and DVR2, and each consisted of 16 hard drives used for storing digital recordings. Roughly half of MCC New York's security cameras were assigned to record to DVR1, and the other half were assigned to record to DVR2. Wow. Today we learn about the importance of redundancy. And each consisted of 16 hard drives used for storing digital recordings. Roughly half MCC New York's cameras assigned to this. Cameras assigned to DVR1 only recorded to the DVR1 hard drives, and cameras assigned to DVR2 only recorded to the DVR2 hard drives. Therefore, if DVR2 crashed, no video from DVR2 assigned cameras could be retrieved from DVR1 and vice versa. The OIG's investigation revealed a history of camera problems at MCC New York. In August of 2019, the electronics technician was the only such technician at MCC New York. The electronics technician told the OIG that when he began work at MCC New York in 2016, he found that the facility's security camera system needed to be upgraded. According to the electronics technician, the system had not been properly maintained prior to his arrival. The hard drives and the DVRs frequently malfunctioned and needed to be replaced, and the overall system was outdated, in part because the cameras were analog and not digital. What does that mean? The cameras were analog and not digital. Analog meaning like the one, what do you call those cords? Analog video cables. Actual film? No shot. It must mean they were using like these composite AV cables. Film? Like it was actually recording to tape? No shot. The cameras were? No, I think it just meant that they were doing this type of video transfer. An analog camera is a traditional camera used in CCTV systems. It sends video over cable to VCRs or DVRs. IP cameras are all digital cameras. What does IP stand for? Like Internet Protocol or something else? IP cameras are all digital cameras that can send signals over cable to be stored in the network. Many security camera systems today are hybrid systems incorporating both analog and digital components. I'm drunk, I have $10. Thanks. Huh. Okay. So the DVR could have had a built-in analog to digital converter, I guess. Some sort of, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure something is built in, obviously. If there was some. To the OIG that when he began work at MCC, he found the center need to upgrade it. Okay. The electronics technician told the OIG that throughout his tenure at MCC New York, the camera system was subject to frequently recurring failures, particularly with respect to the DVR hard drives. I wonder why. The electronics technician provided the OIG with copies of email messages and work orders that documented 9 instances between June 2017 and July 2019 in which actions were taken to address a problem that either the MCC New York cameras or the hard drives used to record videos from the cameras. Damn. Maybe because digital can have artifacts, but analog does not. I feel like technically anything could have artifacts. Digital things could have artifacts from like an encoding process. Analog stuff can have artifacts just from the transmission of the shit itself, right? Like you can have artifacts in film that's all like done like via analog film composites and shit, right? The fuck is this? Okay. Let's see. What is this? Last will and testament of Jeffrey E. Epstein. I, Jeffrey E. Epstein, direct my executor to pay from my estate all expenses of my last illness, my funeral, burial expenses, as compensation to each executor for serving as executor hereunder, the sum of $250,000 to each executor upon the completion of probate of my estate. Give all my property, real and personal, wherever situated after the payment distribution to the acting trustee of the 1953 trust created under the certain trust agreement of 1953. Okay, I appoint Darren K. Indike and Richard E. Kahn to serve as executors. Does he name inheritors here, or? Okay, don't care. Nothing juicy. He gives all of his assets to the trust. Yeah, true. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The warden, who assumed his responsibilities at MCC New York in May of 2018, told the OIG he was generally aware that there were problems with the security camera system throughout the institution. He further stated that efforts were undertaken to determine which cameras were working and which needed to be fixed, and that MCC New York officials intended to ultimately seek funding to replace the entire system. Federal Bureau of Prisons records reflect that on September 6, 2018, the warden submitted a memorandum to the BOP's Northeast Regional Director to request $800,000 in funding to replace the entire camera system. The memorandum identified an estimated project start date of December 1st, 2018, and an estimated completion date of February 9th, 2019. The BOP approved the funding request, and on September 21st, contract amount of $34,000 was awarded to Company 2. As the camera upgrade project was beginning, BOP officials recognized that MCC New York's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems were also needing major repairs. MCC New York did not have enough qualified technicians on staff to complete both the camera installations and other repairs needed at the facility. So beginning of the week of March 17th, 2019, the BOP's Northeast Regional Office arranged for technicians from other BOP institutions to conduct temporary duty assignments at MCC New York to perform the work. During the course of the TDY rotations, work was not consistently conducted on the camera upgrade because sometimes TDY staff assigned to the project were used to cover shortages at MCC. Okay, so this place is a fucking dump. At the time of Epstein's death on August 10th, 2019, The camera system upgrade had not been completed. Immediately following Epstein's death, Company 1 officials arrived at MCC New York and installed the new recording system within a couple of days. Too late then. Recording functionality was restored using the existing cameras. The majority of the new cameras did not arrive at the facility until October 2019. They were installed in stages as the wiring work was conducted. According to electronic technicians, okay. According to forensic analysis conducted by the FBI after Epstein's death, disk failures occurred in MCC New York's DVR2 system on July 20th, 2018, which resulted in the system being unable to record. According to BOP records, and what disks are they using that are failing so fucking often? Holy shit. Hi. According to BOP records and OIG interviews, the BOP did not learn about the failure until August 8th, when the Special Investigative Services Lieutenant and Associate Warden 1 attempted to review recorded surveillance video for a matter unrelated to Epstein. The SIS lieutenant told the OIG she discovered that no recorded video was available for several of the institution's cameras, so she reported the matter to the communications office, and the electronics technicians arrived to assess the problem sometime before a shift was scheduled to end. The electronics technician told the OIG that he found that roughly half of the institution's approximately 150 cameras, which were assigned to record a DVR2, were displaying a live video feed but were not recording. How is it possible that they didn't set up redundant storage after so many failures? I have no idea. Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like the issue because they have problems with the electricity, the plumbing, and everything. It just seems like a dump, basically. They just don't have the funding for anything, right? The electronics technician told the OIG, thanks.
You done with these?
Yeah. Love you. The electronics technician told the OIG that before Epstein's death, no one was specifically tasked with ensuring that video from the camera. Thank you. What's that?
Those are ginger scallion noodles with pork belly broth.
Okay.
And these are pulled pork Korean barbecue sandwich. I know you don't like pickles. Those are special pickles. Just try one bite with pickles.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Jesus. What? What's Jesus. Fuck me. Hold on, I can't do this with my Invisalign on. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, actually, wait. Boom. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, be careful. All right. Wait, what the fuck? Oh my god, what did I just push on this? Why did this just go here to this part of my screen? Oh, there we go. Okay, hold on. Somebody in KickChat said, the thing is, Destiny, when you run a server that saves security camera data, the server will be running a RAID drive, typically RAID 6, which requires a shit ton of disks to manage uptime. When you have like 50 disks in a RAID 6 setup, you will have disks fail on you every other week usually. I didn't know. Do they use RAID on like the huge networking levels? The RAID usually has a ton of redundancy built in though. Like a disk failing, the whole point, unless you're like running RAID 0 or whatever, the whole point of like running these things is to have a ton of redundancy in your drives though. Like 1 or 2 or 3 drives failing shouldn't affect you. No, I don't know what configuration RAID 6 is. What do we have? Okay, RAID 6 is okay. So is this striping and parity? Is that what we're looking at here? Is that what this means? RAID 6 is n-2. What does that mean? 2 disks can fail per block and it'll still be functional, or? RAID 6 uses 2 parity stripes. The practice of dividing data across a set of hard disks or SSDs on each disk allows for disk failures when the RAID set for any data loss. And in a conventional RAID, data is stored in multiple hard disks, thereby increasing the aggregate mean time between failures, improving the fault tolerance. And the approach known as RAID 4. Such as archiving. RAID 6 uses less storage than, for example, a RAID 10 array, which can only store half of its storage capacity. So an RAID 6 array contains the minimum number of disks for, then it can only hold half the total disk capacity of data as well. So its capacity of 2 drives hold parity. The difference comes as disks are added. Huh. Okay. The my guess is going to be, from the way they talk about these DVR things, I don't think RAID or redundancy is anywhere on anything. It sounds like they're just recording sequentially, like in fucking drives, or it's like all striped and one drive kills everything, which that's what it sounds like. Or I don't know, or just like everything is fucked in the system. That's what it sounds like, but who knows? Okay. How would I know? Death present. No, 199. We don't know. Okay. RAID is not backups, it's just a mechanism to lessen downtime. We would need to know the RAID used and disk age, sizes of disks, etc. to make an informed decision. Sure. Technically, RAID is not a backup. It's just something that ensures that if a drive fails, you don't have to like restore from a backup and you can continue to run a particular array of disks or whatever. But technically, you shouldn't be using RAID as a backup. You should have a separate backup that's not part of your RAID array or whatever. But like I said, it sounds like from this setup, it sounds like they have nothing like this. It sounds like they just have a bunch of drives thrown into an old fucking Windows box, and they're just like using like Windows Media Player, some autistic shit. I don't know. That's what it sounds like. This whole jail cell sounds fucked. Everything here sounds fucked. Okay. The electronics technician no one is taxed in the video or electronics before that performance. Winning to the SSF. Capacity to record. Checks to ensure the camera's full function. Since Epstein's death, he now checks to ensure that all cameras and recording systems are working on a daily basis. Nice. You gonna video game again? Maybe after when Factorio the DLC comes out, I absolutely will. Hell yes. On August 8th, following discovery of the recording failure, Company One service, he killed himself on August 10th. Death of Jeffrey Epstein, August 10th, right? Yes. Typically used with video data because it's faster too, which I'm pretty sure is needed to allow for surveillance data. I think you get like 10,000 RPM drives these days, right? Is RAID 6 like striped? Maybe? Maybe it is. So it would make it faster. I don't know. Don't care. Sounds lame. Wait. Hold on. Okay. On August 8th, following discovery of the recording failure, Company One service request records reflect that the electronics technician contacted a Company One technical support representative who ultimately determined that 2 hard drives within DVR2 had failed. According to the electronics technician and the Company 1 service request record, the Company 1 representative informed the electronics technician that 2 drives needed to be replaced and DVR2 needed to be rebuilt in order for the cameras to record again. Ooh, needed to be rebuilt. Does that imply that it was some sort of RAID array? And because of the striping, if a drive fails, they have to rebuild the whole thing? This sounds mega retarded though. So they had no backups. And then if 2 drives failed out of 16 drives, wait, what array are you even using at that point? If you have 16 drives and 2 failing takes you out of commission, and you've got to rebuild the whole thing for it to work again, that sounds like some... people are saying RAID 6. Does that make sense? Okay. In RAID 6, you need 3 failures to take you out. Okay, the electronics further stated that he left the institution at the end of the shift and did not obtain the hard drives and did not continue to work on the matter. The electronics technician told the OIG he had no idea why he did not stay at the facility to resolve the problem that day, but he noted for the OIG that he had not historically been required to stay after a shift ended to work on such matters. And even if he had begun working the DVR that day, he would not have completed the work on August 8th due to the time the rebuilding process takes. Think about the amount of cameras you need to record and how long you have to archive it. Well, I mean, for the amount of cameras you have to record, it doesn't matter, right? Because you're probably recording like, I'm totally guessing and making this up, but my guess is you're probably having like 9 cameras recorded on like one screen, and then that video footage is being recorded, right? You don't think they're actually recording like 80 different video feeds all to one array, do you think? But do you think each one is being recorded? Or record only on motion. Well, these sound like old, out-of-date pieces of shit. I don't know if they do the only motion things. Who knows? The OIG found that the electronic technician's immediate supervisor, facility supervisor, or manager was on leave that week and therefore was not told on August 8th about the DVR recording failure. The facility manager confirmed that he did not learn about the camera problem until days after Epstein's death. The electronics technician told the OIG that he did not report the problem to the lock and security supervisor, who was the acting facility manager. In the facility manager's absence, the SIS lieutenant told the OIG that after the electronics technician had examined the system on August 8th, the electronics technician informed her the cameras were not recording and said, "I'm going to stay and do overtime tonight." Based on his comment, the SIS lieutenant assumed that the electronics technician would remain at the institution after a shift ended that day to correct the issue. The electronics technician told the OIG that there must have been some miscommunication because he did not say that he was going to work overtime and resolve the problem that same evening, since he knew the problem could not be fixed in one evening. The electronics technician told the OIG that, in hindsight, he should have stayed at the institution to begin work on the problem that same day. The SIS lieutenant told the OIG that she verbally informed the captain on August 8th the cameras were down, but the BOP records of like the captain left the institution before the malfunction was discovered. The captain told the OIG that he did not learn about the DVR recording issue until after Epstein's death on August 10th. When he was asked to see video related to the Epstein incident, Associate Warden 1 confirmed she was with the SIS lieutenant on August 8th when the camera problem was discovered, but she told the OIG that she only knew video could not be replayed. She did not know the recording system for certain cameras was down. She could see live video from the cameras on that date and therefore assumed that they were recording. According to the electronics technician, after he reported to work on August 9th, 2019, and attended to other matters throughout the day, the electronics technician obtained the replacement hard drives and attempted to perform the repair sometime later in the day. However, the electronics technician told the OIG that no SIS staff were present at the time to give him access to the room in which the DVR room was located, so he requested access to from the only other individual who had a key to the space, Correctional Officer 4. According to the electronics technician, CO4 denied him access to the room because CO4's shift was ending at 4 p.m. CO4 was unable to stay and accompany him in the space while the electronics technician performed the work. According to the electronics technician, CO4 said he would be at the institution the following day to provide the electronics technician access to the room, so the electronics technician decided to postpone the repair until the following day. ET said his decision was influenced by the fact that he had historically been told the MCC New York supervisors that such matters did not have to be attended to until the following day, and even if he had replaced the hard drives that day, the rebuilding process would have taken 24 hours to complete and would therefore not have finished the following day anyway. Oh my God. The electronics technician arrived at the institution around 6 a.m. on August 10th, and shortly thereafter, before he could begin work on the DVR system, he heard the staff body alarm and he reported to the SHU to assist. Later that day, he was asked to pull potential video from cameras located in and around the SHU. The ET eventually determined that most of the cameras in the SHU were assigned to record DVR2, while the cameras assigned to DVR2 were providing live video streams on August 9th and 10th, 2019. No recordings of the camera available due to the DVR2 hard drive issue, which the FBI later determined had occurred on July 29th, 2019. Among the cameras whose video was not recorded was the camera at the end of L tier, the SHU tier in which Epstein was housed. Only 2 cameras in the vicinity of the SHU were recording DVR1 at the time of Epstein's death. 1 camera is located at the upper level entrance to the 10 South Union. Camera captured video of a large part of the common area of the SHU, including thus anyone entering or attempting to enter the L tier from the common area of the SHU on August 9th or 10th would have been picked up the video footage. Epstein's cell door, however, was not in that camera's field of view. The other camera that was recording was located in one of the 9th floor's 2 elevator bays and provided video of the 9th floor fire exit and 2 of the floor's 4 elevators. The last time anyone entered LT before works by 6:30 a.m. Unidentified CO appeared to walk up the CO. Correctional officer appeared to walk out. 40 and 10:30. OIG did not. Consistent with CO Tova Noel and material handler Michael Thomas' admissions to OIG that the SHU rounds and counts were not conducted during that time frame. At approximately 6:28 a.m., an unidentified officer was observed in the L tier stairway. When it says unidentified officer, is the video footage just so shitty they can't tell? Presumably to deliver breakfast food trays between 6:20 and 6:32 a.m. An unidentified officer, Bleeding Noel, moved back and forth. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Okay. Soon in the afternoon, noted above, the camera in the L tier was running a live feed. Okay, upper tiers and lower tiers. Streaming and recording camera. Streaming but not recording camera. Oh, so this one was streaming and recording, but all of these were out. And then this one was recording. Damn. Epstein's cell was here. Location of recording SHU cameras at 10th floor south entrance. This photograph has been modified for privacy reasons. Damn. Okay, the FBI forensic analysis. FBI evidence documents revealed that on August 10th, the FBI seized all hard drives connected to the DVR2 system. August 14th, they returned and seized additional DVR2 components. And then on August 15th, they seized their DVR1 system. So in Quantico, Virginia, received NCC New York's DVR system, began to conduct forensic analysis system, according to forensic reports. DVR2 did not start successfully. The digital forensic analysis units found the system contained 3 faulty hard drives. The FBI forensic report states the 3 drives were repaired by an FBI advanced data recovery specialist, but the DVR was never able to be assembled successfully. The forensic reports further state that an FBI computer scientist and the company one technician reviewed the DVR2 controller logs and found that there had previously been catastrophic disk failures and no recordings would have been available after July 29th. July, August. Okay, so a few weeks earlier. When was Epstein originally assigned to this prison or jail? Death, arrest and imprisonment. July 6th. He was arrested. First suicide attempt was on July 23rd. On July 29th, this shit gets fucked. Why didn't they have video footage of the July 23rd suicide attempt? It's Charmander. Hop into Discord, you're getting permabanned. Good luck. From Kick Chat. The FBI forensic report state that 3 days were technician. Okay, when the OIG asked him about his finding by the FBI, he told the OIG he was unaware the camera's not recording DVR2 between July 29th and August 8th. He lied. Neither the warden nor the SS was aware the cameras assigned to DVR2 had not been recording since July 29th. The company one technician could not recall working with the electronic technician any DVR. So the entire went down 29th. No videos have been able to be retrieved from that point forward from any of the cameras. Read the message to the end. It's a joke. Do better and check third-party sources like InfoWars or some other independent media source. How am I supposed to know that's a joke? I just debated Alex Jones. What do you... How would I know that that message makes it a joke? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Give me like the best YouTube video while I eat. Give me like the best video for convincing me that this was like intentional. I wonder if Greenwald has talked about this. Greenwald, Epstein suicide. Let me take out my Invisalign, one sec. Destiny, why are you only using a single source for this? There is no way they're going to straight up say, LOL, we did it. Okay. Let me bring you into the logical thinking world, okay? This is why I go off of first an official government source, okay? Usually, official government sources are signed off on by multiple people, and usually they cite information by multiple people, by multiple witnesses that are all giving testimony, all of it under oath, generally, okay? So you could perjure yourself or get fucked if you lie, okay? So that's a good place to start. Now you might say, well, of course they're not going to say they're guilty here. That's probably true, maybe, although the Durham report and other investigations into the government have held the government responsible for some things. But sure, let's say that that is true, okay? The reason why you start with the official report then is because let's say you say, well, I think that they lied about this thing. Oh, well, cool. Then what we can do is we can say the people that are in this report, we can look them up, or we can see if there have been statements that have been made that conflict with what's in the report. If they haven't, then the onus is on you to tell me, how is the FBI able to get all of these different parties together to lie and falsify records, corroborate the whatever story they're trying to sell, and nobody has leaked anything either from the FBI in the investigation or none of the witnesses themselves have come out and said, oh, the media lied about this thing. That's why we start with the official report, okay? If an official report is released and nobody credible comes out and contradicts it, then I'm sorry, it's boring, but it's probably what happened. Glenn Greenwald doesn't comment on this? I guess not. Paliaco, I see what you're saying. Please stop saying it. Video related to first Epstein suicide attempt was lost, officials say. Officials initially believed that video from outside of Jeffrey's cell during his suicide attempt in July had been recovered. Now they say it no longer exists. Word first. This is published on January 9th, 2020. When was the OIG report published? Oh, June 2023. Damn. Okay. On Thursday, the saga of the missing then found video took yet another twist when prosecutors revealed that the recording from the jail was gone after all. The jail, it turned out, had preserved video from the wrong jail tier, and as a result, the government said the footage from outside Mr. Epstein's cell no longer existed. The dispute over the missing footage arose in the case of another prisoner, Nicholas Tartaglione? Tartaglione? Barr says that Epstein's suicide resulted from the perfect storm of screw-ups. So it wasn't really a perfect storm of screw-ups. It was just perpetually fucked maintenance from all of the parts of this prison, is what it sounds like, but... Huh, okay. is this?
Hey.
Hey, what's
Hey,
up?
what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
What are you watching in the background?
The trailer for Made in Manhattan.
Wait, what is Made in Manhattan with Jennifer Lopez?
With Jennifer Lopez, yeah. Under the argument with the parrot.
Yes.
That's what Lewis is for me.
Yeah,
anytime I see Lewis post, all Lewis knows is fighting. You know, he's one of those guys that's like
minimum, and he's like,
right.
He's like, you shouldn't do the minimum, and we're like, no, it's
not that that wasn't his point. It's that only people with children in a business should talk about any issue. Right. Around, I'm not
right.
And he's like, no, I understand. He's like, me too, dude. He's like, we really make better decisions than the person in the game.
Who knows?
It's like people who talk about Pizzagate that aren't talking about fucking Jeffrey Epstein.
Imagine if they were Pizzagate. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, they make excuses for Trump. Like the two I've seen mainly are that the prosecutor at the time, like in some interview, did say like, well, I'll tell you what, with all the people I served, like subpoenas to or talked to, Donald Trump was the only one that picked up the phone at the time and was like, oh, I'll tell you whatever you need to know. He was like the prosecutor in Miami or whatever. There's some clip of him saying that Trump made an effort to help the investigation and cooperate, which is interesting. Not that it exonerates him for going on the pedophile plane, but
now the thing with the people going on the pedophile plane,
yeah.
Bill Clinton goes on it 26 times and then he leaves the Secret Service off. So that's very creepy. But I like there's been other people on the plane like Chris Tucker, Katie Couric, maybe Katie Couric, I don't really know. Supposedly Chelsea Handler's like an associate of this guy. I don't think Chelsea Handler's fucking underage chicks. I don't know. Like there's probably some people that are just in the proximity of this guy, and this might be Trump too, who aren't guilty of the heinous crimes that other people are.
Democrat. I enjoy that. Like, when you have, back to the Lewis analogy, but I don't have any skin in the game. I don't give a fuck. Like, if it turned out that Donald Trump is like also an elite pedophile, it's like, I didn't fucking vote for the guy. I don't care. But like,
do you think that they're dragged into this at all?
What are the chances that they like face any kind of consequences for this?
Right.
Absolutely zero. Nothing will happen.
Right.
There is nothing that's going to fucking happen.
But this is the thing with people that like conspiracies and they like all this shit. What I've realized is they think it's a show where there's a series finale and they're going to get what they want. Like Guantanamo opens, everybody gets thrown in, but it's like, guys, it's not like that. It's just...
If you were to describe a worst possible situation that you'd be willing to believe, what would that look like? Right now, the worst possible situation, I don't know. You look at all the federal prisons, you see which ones have like the biggest fucked history of surveillance or camera equipment. You find that one, you figure out like which parts of the jail aren't being recorded. You throw Epstein into that part of the jail, then you convince him to kill himself when you know it's not going to be on camera. But I still don't know why it can't be on camera. I don't understand that. I don't know why it can't be on camera. Why wouldn't you want to see him kill himself? It seems like it would just be good for the plot. I don't know.
Soap opera where you just eventually don't care anymore and you stop watching.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing will happen at all. It's like, I mean, I would not be surprised if they indict.
There is no, because he didn't kill himself. That's the claim. The only intelligent claim is that he killed himself under duress. I don't think any intelligent person can defend the idea that he killed himself, or I'm sorry, that somebody else killed him. That's just not supported by anything. There's just no chance. That can't be the case. That just can't be the case, that somebody else killed him. I don't think any credit, unless somebody materialized or crawled into the jail cell through some ceiling secret exit entrance, there's just no shot. The autopsy isn't consistent with that, and the camera would have caught somebody walking in or out of the jail, right? Because remember, wait, we were on page 80. This camera would have caught anybody moving in and out of his, in and out of the L tier. Nobody came in or out to kill him. It's just not possible. Not if it was a guard. But we have footage of guards going in and out. It just didn't happen. There's no way. And a guard couldn't have killed him. The autopsy would have showed that. Yeah, there's no way that somebody killed him. So the best version of the conspiracy to have Epstein killed would have been somebody convincing Epstein to kill himself. But I just don't feel like the facts surrounding this are that strong to support that. The claim is that an inmate was paid off. How? That doesn't make any sense. Nobody went into his cell. They were closed. His cellmate killed him? He didn't have a cellmate. Is this going to be one of those conspiracies where people just think things they don't know any of the underlying facts? What if someone used active camo? Okay, true.
On all these charges, and then he's still only...
It did. His hyoid bone was broken. You don't get that hanging from a bunk bed. First of all, apparently you can get that if you jump off a thing and hang yourself, number one. But number two, that's not even an interesting part of the autopsy. The interesting thing is, why would there be absolutely no signs of struggle? Why would there be absolutely no defensive wounds? Why would there be absolutely no indication of anything, of a violent conflict happening anywhere on his body during the autopsy? This is a 66-year-old, 6 foot tall, 185 pound man. You're telling me somebody came in and killed him without any resistance at all? That's just wild. I would be shocked if anybody could produce a single autopsy that looks like that ever of a man being killed without significant drugs being involved. If you entertain that intelligence agencies wanted to kill him to erase their ties, what capabilities would they have to create / erase evidence? I mean, the problem is there are so many moving pieces now with people saying the cameras were broken before. We'd already contacted other companies. Unless they intentionally stuck him here. I mean, I could concoct some like crazy schemes to do it. Like a man was in the cell the entire time from start to finish, like, and was waiting there for 4 days in like a compartment underneath the bed. Didn't the pics look like his body was covered in bruises? No, there was no bruising anywhere on the body, except for around the neck, and I think there was a little thing on his arm. What is with the syringe done on the arm? That was when the EMTs were trying to resuscitate him. Ferlucci, Aaliyah, Permaban, bye. He knew he was going to have a hard life in there. Even the cops were mistreating him already. He had all the reason to be suicidal. True, but some people counter that he had a hearing coming up for possibly making bail, so maybe not. But Golem, you're banned for a month or a week for spamming the same message over and over and over and over again. I don't know why people keep doing this. How hard would it be for the FBI/CIA to pay off the guards, manipulate camera footage, etc.? Is it possible to manipulate? The problem is you're roping so many people into this now. And you're trying to get claims of like it was broken for a week or two, and you're roping in other companies and like you're introducing so much entropy, so much possibility for chaos here, by roping in so many people to this. Why wouldn't you just kill him when he gets out of jail? Like, why not let him post bail, leave jail, and then kill him somewhere? That's like so much easier. That's like 1 billion times easier, right? This sounds conspiratorial, but is it possible that the autopsy was falsified in some way? That would be a good place to hit from. The only thing that makes it hard to believe that is that Michael Bawden was brought in to observe the autopsy, which was Epstein's lawyers. He was brought in to observe it. Now, was he and the other New York medical state examiner, maybe both of them were bought off to lie about the autopsy? But then what also? To falsify the photos? Because those autopsy results were made available to other people to analyze. Every single party that analyzed the autopsy results was also bought off. Didn't the CIA have a heart attack gun that shot a little dart with frozen pathogen like ciguattar toxin, and they tried to use it on Castro and failed? Seems like you're not being imaginative enough for such a high-profile dude who liked to dirt on so many people. Okay. Would a lawyer know enough to contest the autopsy results? For criminal defendants, I'm sure that autopsy results are like part and parcel of their job, right? You said he would have had to jump to have the damage to the neck. However, the OGI report states the senior official specialist one said that Epstein was sitting on the floor of the cell with the back against the bunk bed ladder. Yes, Ben, because jumping is an action that happens in time, and after you jump, you're no longer jumping. So if you jump and then somebody finds you 2 hours later, they're not going to find you jumping They're going to find you at the end of the jump. You're not jumping forever because actions happen sequentially through time and space. Yes. I don't know how else to explain that one to you, Chief.
He gets like 6 years of supervised probation.
Right.
I mean, it's like not like work release. It'll be the same exact thing again.
Right.
It's just like, you know, the idea that like these people ever face consequences for anything is just
Is Hillary Clinton, if you journalist, if you podcaster sit as percent, right? Contractors, yeah.
Right. She wants to see that's politics.
Fuck, I need to finish it.
That's how to get ahead. You got to be smart.
Yeah.
Play the cards the right way. It's creepy. Do you think we'll see like big name people get mentioned? Like we have Chris Tucker already. Who's somebody that would really throw you? That's like on his plane. Who would really shock you?
Well, Chris, you know that's a different Chris Tucker.
Well, no, I didn't.
That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told is that it's a different Chris Tucker.
Oh, I was thinking it was weird that you had. I don't think of black people as pedophiles. I don't know why.
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, I doubt that.
This is dumb. Hypothetically, if Epstein was in the intelligence world, is it beyond reason to think that once his entire sex trafficking ring was discovered, the people involved would have a very easy time working with them? There might be evidence that shows that I'm wrong on this, which you can see the fallibility of my thought process. Maybe. I would be surprised if there's any evidence that shows that Epstein was both an informant or worked with intelligence agencies and people knew that he was actively trafficking people. I have a really hard time imagining that citizens working in U.S. intelligence services could stomach like vetting and reviewing intelligence from a guy that was like actively trafficking minors and shit. I think that'd be really hard for an average U.S. citizen to stomach. I feel like that shit would get leaked or whistleblown on ASAP. That would be wild to me. I guess maybe the information could have been compartmentalized in such a way that people didn't put those pieces together, maybe, but that video sounded okay. Sorry, we'll watch this while I eat.
But every news account of his initial injuries in the weeks before his death said that he had tried to kill himself in a cell. He was found in fetal position on the floor after a failed suicide attempt, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, once somebody says that, then everyone picks up the same story, and then it becomes, the truth, just because it's been repeated so many times. But the fact is, he did not attempt suicide that first time.
So if he didn't try and kill himself the first time, then the medical examiner had no basis to declare this a suicide.
Exactly. Plus, there's reasons why he wouldn't kill himself then. He had a hearing scheduled to appeal the bail decision coming up in a few days, and the bail was being increased. So there's a chance he could have got bail, even as unpalatable as that might have been to some people. In the United States, you're entitled to bail under certain conditions. But so I could see if he went for the hearing for bail and it was denied, then I can see him taking himself out if he didn't want to spend a year in jail waiting for a trial.
Yeah.
But not a few days before. That makes no sense.
In your conversations with him and in your conversations with the people who were in contact with him at the final weeks of his life, was there any indication at all that he was suicidal at any point?
No, I had no conversations with him once he was arrested. I spoke to him the day before he was arrested. He actually called me from Paris, just the usual, how you doing kind of phone call. And the next day, his attorneys called me and told me he was arrested. And that was the last time I spoke with him.
Have you seen the video with Epstein's attorneys and Brett Weinstein? No.
I didn't speak to him or see him while he was in jail.
But having spoken to his lawyers and people whom he communicated with from jail, did anybody say that he seemed suicidal?
No, everybody was shocked that it was a suicide. Nobody thought he was going to kill himself. Nobody thought he would do that.
So what's interesting is that the Attorney General of the United States at the time, Attorney General Barr, said publicly and then wrote in his memoir that he had concluded conclusively that this was a suicide based on two pieces of evidence. One, the medical examiner, the person who performed the autopsy, declared it a suicide, which is a lie. That didn't happen. And two, because he had viewed the videotape at the entrance to the cell block where your brother was being held. What do you make of that explanation?
Well, when I heard Barr's statement that he said he personally saw the videotape and he concluded it was a suicide because nobody went in or out, that's when it hit me that he's covering this up, because there's two sort of fallacies in that. One, I thought, why is the Attorney General of the United States, who I imagine to be a busy guy, why is he personally watching the videotape? Couldn't he have two people in his office watch the videotape and say, hey, Bill, nobody went in or out? Wouldn't that suffice? And two, to assume that somebody could get to that door, go inside, kill somebody, get out completely undetected is just ridiculous, because I believe there are 6 levels of security before you get to that door. So to assume that somebody could do it that way is crazy. And any third-rate investigator will tell you that there was anywhere from 7 to 14 people on the other side of that door, on the tier, that could have killed somebody.
Right.
And I had been told from another source, I've been getting a lot of information from all sources, that cell doors were left unlocked that night. I don't know how many cell doors or whose cell doors, but if cell doors were left unlocked, then somebody could have went into Jeff's cell, killed him, went back into the...
Why wouldn't the DOJ, the Attorney General, who's in charge of the federal prisons, or the the Bureau of Prisons, the BOP, is under the DOJ. Why would he not be interested in a case where a high-profile person gets killed or commits suicide inside of a federal prison? Why would Barr not be the one looking at this? That's the least surprising thing.
Their cell, undetected. Now, in the Justice Department report, it says that from 3 cells you could see Jeff's cell door. But if you look at the photographs of the tier, there's tiny windows in the cell doors. So in order to see Jeff's cell door from another cell, you'd have to be standing at that window inside the other cells in the middle of the night looking towards Jeff's cell. And if somebody crept low beneath the height of that window, you wouldn't see them. So the fact that, to say that he could be seen from 3 other cells and they didn't see anything, well, chances are the other prisoners were sleeping in those cells if they had nothing to do with it. So again, it's just like a cover-up line.
Right. So in other words, the Attorney General said that nobody moved on to the cell block according to the videotape, but that is irrelevant because if your brother was murdered, he was almost certainly murdered by someone who was already on the cell block.
Exactly.
Right. So given that, and it's obvious and logical when you think about it for about 10 seconds, the identities of the other inmates on that cell block are critical. Your brother was alone in his cell.
Right.
Didn't we just see the camera in front of his cell wasn't recording? No. They're talking about this camera. This camera out here, that's the one we just saw footage from. That was recording. The one that leads into the L tier here. LLL. The camera right here, though, was not recording.
Any one of those inmates could have killed your brother. Do we know who they were?
No, I can't find out who they were. There were 7 other cells, each with 1 or 2 people in them,
yes.
Which means it's either anywhere from 7 to 14 people, other than my brother on the tier that night. I don't know who they are, or I know one, that guy Taglione, who was Jeff's cellmate for a while. He was there for a long time. So if Jeff was killed, it's a possibility that somebody was planted in there. Cell doors were left unlocked. And then from what I understand, a number of prisoners were transferred off of that tier after.
Wait, so none of the other prisoners this is an even worse conspiracy. None of the other prisoners complained or mentioned hearing a guy killing another dude? Nobody said a single thing? All of them were bought off?
The death. So if somebody was planted, he killed Jeff, and a day or 2 later he's transferred out and he disappears into the ether. I don't know who the prisoners were. I'd like to find out who they are, and where are they now?
So there's, of course, a record of this. These are federal inmates in a facility run by the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Prisons overseen by the Department of Justice. So it's not like nobody knows who they were.
They have to have a record.
Right.
Sure.
But they will not release that to you.
I haven't been able to get anything. Right.
Let's go down the chain of documents that might explain this mystery. So the first would be the records of the first responders, the EMTs, who arrived at the scene and moved your brother's body from the cell to...
No, that's what I had thought, but when I spoke to an EMT, when they got to the prison, Jeff was already in the infirmary. The prison people moved him to the infirmary, which they were not supposed to do, because when he was found, he was clearly dead. The autopsy showed he was dead for at least 2 hours before he was found. So at that point, they're supposed to leave the body and call the medical examiner's office. So
I would be shocked if that was the case. Is that actually standard operating procedure? You see somebody who kind of looks like he's hanging, so like, okay, we'll just leave him there. Let's just call the EMTs. They're not supposed to remove him and try to resuscitate him? I think. Is that low in the LIG? What is the standard procedure there?
Take photographs, do the initial testing, whatever they do when they find a dead body. But that wasn't done. They moved him to the infirmary. And
they moved his corpse to the infirmary, but notified nobody else?
Well, a 911 call was made to get the EMTs, and we can't get a copy of the 911 call, which is, we hear 911 calls for all sorts of other cases. This one seems to be missing. When they got there, he was in the infirmary, and he was clearly dead because, like I said, he'd been dead for 2 hours. And there was a photograph of him being wheeled out of the prison where he was intubated, squeezing an air bulb to try to get, so I was questioning, why are they trying to put, pump into a clearly dead body? Were they trying to make it look like he was alive so that he could be declared dead in the hospital? Because what I've been told, normally when they find dead bodies in the prisons, they want to ship them to the hospital, so they're declared dead in the hospital. Because an unwritten rule is nobody dies in prison.
What? I think what we read earlier is that typically only doctors declare time of death. I guess in some states EMTs can do it, but if there's not a medical facility in the hospital that has like doctors, actual doctors staffed, why would a hospital? This is all conspiratorial. None of this seems. So the EMTs were also bought off. They put intubation tubes inside the person's mouth so that to make it look like to some people that they were trying to revive. This is retarded.
They don't want to deal with it, so they ship him to the hospital where he was declared dead. And when I questioned the EMT why they were intubating him, I said because he was dead for at least 2 hours. The response I got was, "How do you know that?" It was a kind of a strange response, but I knew that from the autopsy. But the response I got was, "How do you know that?" I said because he was dead for at least 2 hours. Question, they don't want to deal with it, so they ship him to the hospital where he was declared dead. And when I questioned the EMT why they were intubating him, I said because he was dead for at least 2 hours. The response I got was, "How do you know that?" It was a kind of a strange response, but I knew that from the autopsy.
Am I misunderstanding what he's saying? I'm sorry. I need to listen to this one more time. I must be misunderstanding what he's saying. This is this is an example of like a 45 IQ, like an actual person with mental disability. If he's saying what I think he's saying, but it can't be. It can't be what he's. It can't be. I'm misunderstanding this. Hold on.
In the hospital, because like an unwritten rule is nobody dies in prison. They don't want to deal with it, so they ship him to the hospital, where he's declared dead. And when I questioned the EMT why they were intubating him, I said because he was dead for at least 2 hours. The response I got was, "How do you know that?" It was a kind of a strange response, but I knew that from the autopsy.
Why did you guys intubate him? He was dead for 2 hours. And he's like, well, how do you know that? And the guy's like, because in the future, the autopsy is going to tell you. Or I looked at the autopsy after. The EMTs didn't have access to the autopsy when they picked him up. Does he think the EMTs are time travelers? Or am I misunderstanding what he's trying to say here? Or...
So we don't know who moved him out of the cell. No person has come forward to say, I moved this corpse from the cell.
No, but I was also told that in the infirmary and in the hospital, there was somebody with a handheld video camera all the time running, videotaping everything. Where are those tapes? That's another question.
Despite the fact that your brother was dead in his cell and had been dead for 2 hours.
At least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours.
Dead in cell. Wow. You're talking about a prolific sex trafficker there. This guy slayed more underage puss than fucking JF did. Okay. What do you mean in cell? Excuse me?
Tapes. That's another question.
Despite the fact that your brother was dead in his cell and had been dead for 2 hours.
Oh, dead in his cell. Never mind. My bad. Ignore what I just said.
At least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours. Somebody cut off his clothing and redressed the corpse in hospital scrubs, in a gown.
Yeah, I have a photograph of him in a hospital gown on a gurney in a hospital where, his arms were put through the sleeves. It's one of those gowns you tie in the back. So the question becomes, who decided to dress a dead body in a hospital gown? Normally they're either in a body bag or covered by a sheet.
Could you go over why it's not possible he was killed by a prisoner that was within the L tier? If you are fighting for your life, somebody's trying to kill you, the autopsy is going to clearly show that. When people are struggling against people trying to kill them, you're going to have all sorts of marks around your neck. If they're trying to strangle you, you're going to have defensive wounds. So you're going to have fabric, you're going to have skin stuff underneath your nails. You're going to have broken nails. You're going to have bruising all over your body where somebody's hitting you or trying to restrain you. Whoever you're fighting is going to be marked in some ways. Unless there's like heavy drug use involved. For instance, if you drug somebody severely and then that person passes out, then you can kill the person, maybe without any marks, assuming they don't hit their head or something as they're falling or something. But the problem is the autopsy talk screen show that his body was clear of any drugs, unless we say he flushed his body or the talk screen was incorrect or something. You think it's possible for a powerful person / intelligence agency to commission a murder and get away with it? Yeah, absolutely. But there are so many better ways to do it. Like here's a question. Let's say that I wanted to make this death work. Rage Pope, shut the fuck up. Why would you not just have him post bail and then kill him once he's out of jail? That would be so much easier. It eliminates all of this bullshit. Just disappear the guy or kill him or push him out of a building. There's like a million. And then you've got way more control over the environment. You could get people to abduct him. You could let him fucking heal for a week or two, give him some drugs or whatever the fuck you need to do to make his body look nice and whatever. You could put a gun in his hand, shoot himself. There's so many easy ways to stage a suicide or just murder him or just disappear him or get like another person to kill him that hates, pedophile. Like there's so many ways you could do it after that. Why would you try to kill him in a jail cell? There's like... Not if he talks while in jail. Why would he talk while in jail when he's got a future bail hearing coming up or whatever? But that's not true either. If you were worried about him talking in jail, then you would have killed him right after he got arrested, right? Right when he was charged, you would have killed him in the fucking station. You wouldn't let him if you were really that concerned about him squealing, right? Why would you do that? And also, why would you even squeal that early? You wouldn't do that unless there's like a deal on the table or something. You wouldn't be cooperating that early in an investigation that's going to end your fucking life. Like, nah, none of this is just all of this is so sloppy and
bizarre.
Yes.
And 4.5 years later, you have no answers at all on any of these questions?
None. And I've tried to get the PCR report, or the ACR report, which is the report that the EMTs fill out on every call they make. It's just their record-keeping system, and these are filed with the fire department. And as this video I sent you showed, they have no record of it.
So there are essentially no records of what happened at all. There's no videotape, the cameras were broken, the guards who are supposed to be keeping watch were asleep. They were convicted of lying, but then they were pardoned by a judge later. Apparently, one still works for the federal government.
I believe so, yes. I tried to talk to the guards. I couldn't get to them. I tried to contact them through their attorneys, and I couldn't get to them.
Okay, so then there was famously an investigation into this overseen by the Department of Justice's head investigator. Where's that?
Well, they came out with a report, a few months ago, and for 4 years we've been trying to find out what position his body was in when it was found, and we couldn't get an answer to that either.
Destiny, if this was them killing him, the plan worked fine? What do you mean the plan worked fine? Less than a quarter of Americans even believe the official story. How is that working fine? This is like one of the most talked about, this is one of the most like elementary conspiracies that like every fucking person, this would be the worst conspiracy of all time. What are you talking about? Could you entertain Rage Pope's argument a little bit? Let's say he's killed by a designer drug. And then I don't know if there are like 0-day drugs that exist that have a half-life of nothing and can't be detected in the bloodstream and cause you to pass out. And like, I don't know if that's even true. I don't know if it was true. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
But in the report, it described how he was found. It said that he was in a seated position with his legs extended in front of him, and he was hanging from the top bunk. So if you picture that, basically all of his body weight, or most of his body weight, was hanging by this noose around his neck, or the ligature around his neck. He had some weight on his feet, but the bulk of his 180-some-odd pounds was hanging. And they said when they cut him down or tore him down, his buttocks was an inch and a half above the ground. Again, which means his body weight was on his neck. Now, if somebody's hanging like that, the noose or ligature would ride up high on the neck and go high behind your ears to where it was tied to. But the autopsy photographs show that the ligature mark on Jeff's neck is in the middle of his neck and goes straight back, as if someone put a rope around his neck and strangled him, like Carlo in The Godfather, in the car.
Or the electrical cord to his
Or the electrical cord or whatever was there, but it doesn't look like the fabric from a bedsheet.
So if it seems clear just from the photographs of his autopsy that he was strangled with, say, a cord, wouldn't you test that cord for his DNA?
Yeah, nobody seems to know where that is. Also, the way they said he was hanging, and again, he had to be there for at least 2 hours. When you die, the blood in your body settles to gravity takes the blood down to the lowest parts of your body, and they become blotchy from the blood pooling under the skin. So the back of his legs and his buttocks should have what's called lividity. They should have this blotchiness, like bruising look on the back of his legs and his buttocks. The autopsy photographs show that his legs are clean and clear. So he couldn't have been hanging that way for more than, for 2+ hours. He'd have blood pooling in his legs.
Can they cite like an actual autopsy expert saying this? I haven't read what those two claims made. I haven't seen that by anybody doing autopsy stuff. Why not cite like an autopsy report? Or why not cite somebody doing an autopsy instead of your Law & Order SVU understandings of autopsy? Why not cite somebody that actually said this? Destiny, this starts at 1 minute. Hold on, okay.
It's not the case.
So did the report explain the discrepancies from the autopsy, that bones in his neck were broken that are not seen in hangings, but are seen in strangulations?
Those broken bones they're seen in strangulations, but because he had 3 bones, it's also from a karate chop to the neck will break bones like that. And
what?
3 bones, it's also from a karate chop to the neck will break bones like that. And that seems to be what I've spoken to military people, a preferred way of killing people is you karate chop them in the neck really hard, you collapse their windpipe, and that disorients them and incapacitates them, and then usually they just break their neck, or you can strangle them. So,
come on, guys. This has to be this has to be a test.
In this case, we don't know how Jeff is a key piece of.
You're saying there should be stuff on the bottom. Do we see the bottom of his legs? I'm sure there's got to be something where all these pictures are posted. I don't know in 2 hours if blood pooling.
Evidence.
I don't know the stages of corpse decomposition.
Any death investigation.
That's why I want you to show me like an autopsy person. Like, why would they show this picture here if what they're saying is clearly wrong and everything is clear? Like, why would you show this? My guess is somebody would obviously call you out, or somebody would say something. No, or maybe not. I don't know. But sorry, hold on. Let's finish this.
So the breaks in his neck are more consistent with a karate chop than what's called a soft hanging. When you tie something around your neck and you sit down or hang yourself from something soft, like, unfortunately Robin Williams or Andre, Bourdain, was it, who killed himself?
Anthony Bourdain.
Right, those are soft hangings, as opposed to, Brooks in the Shawshank Redemption, who stood on a chair and sort of jumped off. That's a hard hanging. That will snap the bones in your neck. But that wasn't what happened with Jeff.
So Dr. Michael Baden, who participated, was present at the autopsy.
Well, don't they say he jumped from the top bunk? Isn't that the story given? Wouldn't that be a hard hanging? How long does it take a human falling to reach terminal velocity? Isn't it literally like, isn't it some retarded like 1 second? No, hold on. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say 2 seconds. How long, I'm gonna say 1.5 seconds. How long human falling to reach terminal velocity? It's gonna be like 5 seconds, fuck me. 12 seconds, damn, okay, never mind. Regardless, I'm pretty sure if you jump off a top bunk, I'm pretty sure you'll be going fast enough to break your neck if you're a full-sized adult male. Damn, 12 seconds to reach terminal velocity is a human. That sounds like so long. The new theory is they hired secret Chinese karate masters. Well, it could have been a military karate master, okay. It's about 6 feet to snap a neck. How far do you have to fall? Suicide, snap neck. Dude, my searches. Thank you, Google. Determine the drop in hanging executions at a minimum of 4 feet 6 inches for the heaviest bodies. This assumes a normal musculature. The person is subjected to this treatment have had their heads pulled off their bodies. So less than 5 feet. And he was older too, so, but okay.
Autopsy has participated in over 1,000 autopsies of prison deaths.
I have never seen 3 fractures like this in a suicidal hanging. Going over 1,000 jail hangings, suicides in the New York City state prisons over the past 40, 50 years, no one had 3 fractures.
His fairly firm conclusion is that this was not a suicide. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. He was holding off on that determination, pending determination of how the body was found, which we finally, now that they say the way the body was found, it just only shows that it was not that way. The autopsy shows it's not that way, which further convinced Dr. Bodden that this was not a hanging, not a suicide.
So here's what we wind up with at the end of all.
Wow, a thighologist. Thanks for the 10 gifted.
All this, we wind up with a high-profile inmate in the most secure federal facility in the country's largest city who was somehow murdered, clearly with the knowledge of the Justice Department, and the Attorney General of the United States lies about it.
Do you believe that the mysterious injection mark or hole in the skin could lend credibility to designer drug theory, or do you think the mark is weird? But no, the mark isn't weird at all. The EMT tried to revive him. That was part of the story. It was part of the official story. Is you were trying to push epinephrine or whatever when the guy's heart is stopped. Is when they were trying to revive him.
Which he did, and there's no reason to do that except to cover up the crime. So what does that tell us about this?
Oh, it's a scary thought that you could be killed in prison by the government. Yeah. Because again, my life would have been a lot easier if he committed suicide. I could have put it behind me. But it's obvious at this point in time that
after 2 hours, can you revive someone? Almost certainly not. But they wouldn't know when they find him that he's dead for 2 hours. When you find someone in cardiac arrest, there's like stages. There are things you're supposed to do to try to revive them until you get them to a hospital. I don't think it's normal for EMTs to pronounce people as dead. Do EMTs always perform CPR when finding cardiac arrest? I'm trying to find out when, because I imagine in some cases an EMT won't. Like if you show up and a person's head is cut off, or if their neck is like completely cut off, or like halfway, you're probably not doing it. But I imagine as long as the body is like intact, I feel like an EMT is probably always going to be doing, it's going to be CPR, it's going to be epinephrine, it's going to be intubation, or it's going to be a defibrillator if there's like a arrhythmia or whatever. It's going to be like those things are always going to be followed if the body's intact until you get to the hospital. That'd be my guess. Do I have any KKMD or EMT people in my audience? Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Also, I have to leave soon. Fuck. Hold on. In my jurisdiction, emergency officer will almost always do CPR. It'd be a brave one who didn't, especially in a politically sensitive case. And this doesn't even matter. I'm sure conspiracy would be bigger if they didn't even try. Sure, true. Unless it's what's called a quote-unquote obviously violent death, like a decapitation. Oh, sure. This guy says, EMT here. Yes, we do CPR except in cases of obvious death like decapitation. Well, if the guy in chat says it. I work as a lifeguard. We have had cardiac arrest. Normally, a doctor will be on the phone with the advanced paramedics, and the doctor on the phone will call the death. Okay, sure. Okay. Finish
It was not a suicide. And so it means somebody killed him. So who killed him and why?
Right. So in talking to all the people around him or people who were connected with him in one way or another in the final weeks of his life, have you detected a fear in those people in talking about this?
No, not really. I don't think they're fearful of anything. I was the one getting the death threats, not them. I don't think they did.
Why were you getting death threats?
Well, when Jeff died, people tried to link me to his activities in some way, shape, or form. Again, I had not seen Jeff for 7 years prior to his death. We were in communication. We spoke, we emailed, but we lived two different lives. So I didn't know his inner circle and he didn't know mine. But people tried to link us, tried to link me to his activities. And I was in contact with the FBI and the New York Police Department about the death threats. And I had, at times, had armed guards. When I went to the autopsy, I had armed guards with me to protect myself.
From whom?
From whoever killed Jeff.
But anyone who could murder someone in a federal detention facility obviously has a lot of power.
Yeah, well, I was trying to protect myself as best as I could. Yeah.
Do you fear for, I notice you're not appearing on camera. You've asked not to appear on camera.
Yeah, I don't want to be recognized. I travel a lot, and there's no need for me. This is not about me. This is about Jeff's death.
Did you have any inkling at all that your brother was involved in anything that might get him killed by a government?
No. I wasn't involved with his day-to-day life, and his troubles he had with the charges with the girls was from the early 2006 is when he first got into trouble, and he spent time in jail for that.
Well, that's a question that's occurred to me. I mean, he went through all this, whatever you think of it, and then he was charged again for the same things, effectively.
Right. I mean, from what I understand, he had a non-prosecution agreement with the federal government on that when he made his plea deal. So he believed he was safe from further prosecution. And then he flew home from Paris in July, and they arrested him on the same charges. And I believe his defense was going to be, well, hey, I have a non-prosecution agreement with the federal government. And supposedly they say, well, that was like the Southern District or some area. Well, as far as I know, we have one federal government. If you make a deal with the federal government, it covers the entire country.
Has it occurred that maybe the point of rearresting him on the same charges was to get him into a facility where he could be killed?
I've shied away from speculating about all of this. I try to stick with the facts, but that's a possibility.
Do you think...
Show us the bunk he allegedly jumped off of. Epstein's bunk bed picture. This here? It wasn't the bunk, it was the window behind the bunk. My understanding is the claim is that he tied the thing to one of the things up here, and that he threw himself off the top bunk to snap his neck when he fell, basically, or when he was coming off or whatever. Okay.
Other governments might have been involved in this, not just the U.S. government?
I would, on the surface, say no. I don't see why. I mean, again, I don't know what he was doing day to day, so, again, that's speculation, which I don't want to do, but I don't think so. On the surface, I don't see why.
He didn't jump. It was a soft hanging. Listen to the pathologist. Wait, I thought I read in here that they thought that he jumped off. Wait, fuck. Okay, last thing we're reading. Real quick, was there something in here that says where they describe how they think he killed himself? Let me read this real quick.
What information are you still seeking about his death?
Well, who were the prisoners on that ward that night? How long were they there for? No, if somebody was on that ward for, a long time, like his roommate, then, obviously they were implanted there, 2 years ago to kill Jeff then. So who was transferred onto that ward in the week or two before he was killed? And where are they now? Where were they transferred to? Were these real prisoners or was it a plant?
Have you asked the Inspector General at the Department of Justice?
We asked all these questions, yes, way back when. And we get no answer. Yeah, after a thorough investigation, we've determined it was a suicide.
But no one's given you any details?
After a careful investigation, we've determined it was a suicide. That's what I was getting from them. I'm doing to you what they were doing to me.
What's your next move?
Well, I'm still trying to find the information. I have FOIAs out to try to get the medical reports, to try to get the 911 call. And just to get people thinking about this. People shouldn't, like you said, people shouldn't be complacent with the fact that somebody was killed in a federal prison under federal protection.
Yeah, and officials at the very highest levels are lying about it.
Yeah, and people should be aware of that.
Wow.
Whether we ever figure out exactly what happened, I don't know, but I don't want people to think he committed suicide, because that's not the case.
Mark Epstein, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, where in here does it talk about the actual suicide, the events and Epstein's death? Didn't the 60 Minutes thing say there was no evidence the noose was cut? That pic clearly showed it was cut. Well, the 60 Minutes stuff, they didn't have access to this full Office of Inspector General's report yet, like we do. That thing was like 4 years old, I think, so. That's why they also said they didn't know what the hypodermic needle marking was, but now we do, right? Inmate 3 told the OIG that Epstein was allowed to sleep on the floor, which he said was unusual for the SHU, where that was not normally allowed. Inmate 3 said Epstein also had 2 extra blankets, which no other inmate had, as well as 2 pens, which inmates were not allowed to have. Epstein would ask for things, and if the CO said no, Epstein would tell them that he was writing down their name and providing information to his lawyer. According to Inmate 3, the COs were on eggshells around Epstein. Inmate 3 said that when he left the SHU on August 9th, 2019, there was an orange cloth twisted around the ladder, strings on the side of the ladder, and a string tied across the bed. Inmate 3 explained that the strings tied across the bed served as a clothesline, and that the strings were part of a sheet they had ripped. According to Inmate 3, one night he woke up, he saw Epstein fidgeting with the clothesline and asked Epstein what he was doing. Epstein said he was trying to fix the clothesline, but Inmate 3 told him no and flushed the clothesline down the toilet. As discussed in Chapter 4, when Inmate 3 and Epstein first became cellmates upon Epstein's return to the SHU following suicide watch and pathology. Inmate 3, I think, is the Tagalroloni, whatever the fuck the guy's name is. Inmate 3 asked Epstein not to kill himself while Inmate 3 was his cellmate because Inmate 3 had a chance to go home soon. In response, Epstein told Inmate 3 not to worry and that he was not going to cause him any trouble. When Inmate 3 left on August 9th, he told Epstein that he would leave the clothesline in the cell so that Epstein could wash his clothes. Inmate 3 did not say anything about a noose having been in the cell, but he said there were 5 blankets in there, so when he left. This motherfucker is collecting blankets like crazy. Well, talk about how Joe Biden is going to lose. I think that I think Trump is going to win the Republican nomination. The Supreme Court's going to vote against the Amendment 14 stuff, and then I think Trump is going to lose to Biden in the election. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, well, I guess we're done for now. Tomorrow I'll summarize and then we'll do a poll, I guess, and take questions from chat or see if anybody wants to debate on this. Yeah, what were the questions? How common is it for cameras to malfunction / footage be unusable? So we realized that the jail, that jail had tons of maintenance issues with cameras, electricity, plumbing, etc. The entire DVR2 system that records about 50% of the cameras was malfunctioning for at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think, prior to Epstein's death. How common is it that people fail to check in on inmates, especially after already attempting suicide? Other inmates in the SVU said that the guards never do routine checks. I didn't read that out loud, but that was something that was in here. Wait, SV or SHU? It's SHU. How long does it normally take someone to be removed from suicide watch after attempting suicide? I don't have the information for this. How common is suicides in jail of multiple rounds? We didn't really get an answer for this, but it sounds like the wounds. This doesn't seem that interesting because where are the other wounds or defensive wounds? Like nothing here points to any foul play yet. How could this be with suicide versus homicide? It seems, again, yeah, this is pretty consistent. 0 other wounds, defensive markers, anything to indicate any struggle or drugs in body relating to death. What percent do you give him killing himself under duress? I mean, it's possible, but there's just like 0 evidence at all for it. But explain. Biden is massively unpopular and losing most of the polls. When has a massively unpopular incumbent who is losing most polls been able to come on top? You'll see it, baby. You'll see it. You'll see him win. Those polls are bullshit, Jack. He hasn't started campaigning yet, and when he does,